Guys, I think we've found Nick Dacos's dance partner for the next 15 years, and he's available in the draft next year in 2025, and he's another father-son product of Collingwood Football Club. This young gentleman that I'm referring to is Thomas McGuane, who currently represents the Western Jets in the Coates League, playing as a bottom ager right now and is totally thriving within the environment. Thomas is quite slight and not the tallest guy going around. He stands 177 centimeters tall, currently 16, turned 17 in August, and is of course the son of 1990 premiership hero Mick McGuane. Let's take a quick trip down memory lane to refresh your minds for those who maybe are also a little bit younger and might not know about the 1990 premiership team. Mick McGuane played 150 games for Collingwood, 52 more than needed to qualify Thomas McGuane as a father-son product for Collingwood in the future, and that future is now. So thank you, Mick, for getting over that hump and playing over 100 games for Collingwood. So while Thomas is slight and slender right now at the young age of 16 going on to 17, there is a chance that he does fill out and get a bit taller. If he's going to be anything like his old man in Mick, Mick ended up standing at 186 centimeters tall and was around the 94 kg mark. And I'm not sure if you're going to get away with that sort of blend in the current modern AFL game, but it does indicate that Thomas still got some growing to do at the age of 16 right now. In the 1990 premiership year, Mick averaged 24 disposals and collected 10 Brownlow votes. And in his second year of AFL, he collected a career high 46 disposals and he had 46 shots on goal, with one of them being a goal. So 1 goal 3 could have been, imagine 46 disposals and 4 goals. That would have been a feat that no one would ever forget. But even now to this day, like that's an amazing accumulation of stats in your second year of AFL footy is massive. And I think that game was against St Kilda, just looking at the stats on AFL tables. And I guess with Mick, his career ended with an All-Australian to his name, a premiership, of course, and a 2-time Copeland Trophy winner. So if we get anything like that in the seams of someone like Thomas McGuane, then it's going to be a massive win for Collingwood. And imagine the midfield in a few years with Thomas McGuane being that inside midfielder with outside ability, Nick Dacos, and then a big-bodied player that could still be Jordan De Goey in a couple years, as he's still, I think he's like 27, 26, 27, I believe, maybe going 28. So he's still got a few more good years in him. Before we get into Thomas's Coates League season thus far, I quickly just want to share with you arguably the greatest moment individual moment in Mick's career. And it's this goal right here that earned him goal of the year.
Collingwood lead by 8 points. They're going to get the ball away from the centre again through Moncourse. And McGuane gets past Brown. They're lifting the pies. They can sense it. First 15 minutes ordinary, but since then they've been good. McGuane's had 5 bounces. Nearly get another one. Round he goes. In he goes to an open goal. Phil Manassa, stuffed by Mickey McGuane. Goal of the year.
You can take us through that big run of your 7 bounces we counted.
Was it? Yeah, I don't know about that, mate. It's just a bit lucky, I suppose. There was space to run into, and I heard the whistle go. I didn't know it was an infringement against one of our guys or what happened, but I just kept running direct at goal, and I just sort of had a pot shot, so I was a bit lucky.
Okay, so regarding Thomas's Coates League career and season, he actually did play a game last year as a 15-year-old turning 16. So not as a bottom ager, but a bottom ager. And in 2024, right now, he's averaging 25 disposals and nearly a goal a game as the bottom ager in that team. His best individual game thus far was against the NT Thunder, where he collected 38 disposals, and similar to his old man in that 46 disposal career high game, he also had 1 goal and 3 behinds. And also one of his more impressive games against a really good outfit against the Eastern Rangers, he collected 22 disposals and 1 goal in a narrow 3-point loss against one of the highly talented draft prospects in Josh Smiley for that game. So really impressive to do well against a great side under the bright lights. And at age 16, he's arguably the best player for the Western Jets right now. He's leading the Rookie Me Central leaderboard tally, and they do a great job of covering the Coates League. So quite a reliable source when we consider who are the upcoming prospects. And he's currently got 6 votes right now, which is 1 vote out of the top 10 for the league in that Rookie Me Central leaderboard trophy. And so what do we know about Thomas's playing style? Well, a little snippet here from the website suggests that he's evasive, quick reaction time, amidst the heat of the contest and shows IQ ahead of his age. Does that sound familiar to a certain player that was drafted in 2021? Yes, I'm talking about Nick Dacos. He ticks all those boxes, right? He's evasive in the contest, gets out of stoppages that you wouldn't imagine anyone could do, and let alone a first, second, third year player being Nick Dacos in his years thus far. And like I said, the evasiveness, the quickness, and he shows an IQ ahead of his age, which we know Nick Dacos had, and he's a very mature young man in a young body. If that's anything to go by, then we have got our hands full for the next 10, 15 years if Thomas can be half as good as someone like Nick Dacos. And at the moment for the Western Jets, he's sort of rotating between a wing slash midfield role. And what was interesting was he didn't make the national championships this year, which is unfortunate. I thought maybe his form would warrant it, so we're not going to see him represent Vic Metro. I think Western Jets did have another player selected for the under-18s, but yeah, unfortunately it wasn't Thomas in this case. Another curious question that most people are pondering is, well, where is Thomas going to land in that draft next year? And while we're probably still a few months away at least to getting a better gauge on what that 2025 class looks like, Kevin Sheedy did put an article together about the top 25 prospects in the 2025 draft, and Thomas McGuane is involved in that list. So it definitely seems that Thomas could go in the first round of the draft next year, and who knows, if he continues to improve and grow on where he's at right now, he could land in the top 5. Like, he's just dominating right now as a bottom ager for his team. Imagine how he's going to play in his top age year next year. So it's going to cost Collingwood a lot, and there are murmurs lingering around that maybe the father-son rule will be changed, and I think that's just to ensure that teams are giving up apples for apples when when the trade-off occurs, when you're poaching the father-son products from other teams who have higher draft picks to access these players. So I think with Nick Dacos, I think Gold Coast tried to pluck them, and then we used points and draft picks to obviously move up and acquire someone like Nick Dacos. I think this time around, if McGuane is a top 5 pick, it's going to be much more difficult. We're going to have to probably, guys, help me out here, but I'm assuming we're going to have to give up future first round picks if the rule is to change to acquire someone like McGuane in the draft next year. Another thought that's bouncing around in my head is how quickly could someone like Thomas McGuane have an impact at AFL level? I feel like if you look at the draft classes of late, players are having a more profound impact much sooner rather than later these days. And that's obviously because of the ramp up in professionalism and punctuality throughout the whole AFL ecosystem. I think when you get the S&C in and then the exposure to good resources, social media, a lot of these players are within best practice and giving themselves the best shot. Like if we look at the 2023 draft, we had Harley Reid, the top 10. Harley Reid, Colby McKercher, Jed Walter, Zane Dersma, Riley Sanders, Windsor, Curtin. That's 7 players in the top 10, but they're all having great impacts at AFL level right now, immediate impacts. Look at these guys, they're all having somewhat of an impact. Harley Reid, McKercher, Zane Dersma is obviously at North, Riley Sanders is having an impact. So these guys are ready-made coming into AFL. And like I said, while Thomas is a little bit shorter in height and slender, maybe he takes a little bit longer to adapt to the rigors of AFL physicality. I think we could see him in the first year or the second year. But in saying that, there's still a whole lot more to be seen regarding Thomas. We don't have a whole lot of footage on him. A lot of this is just hearsay, but at least a lot of this hearsay is from reputable sources like someone like Kevin Sheedy. Another glaring question that maybe the outer AFL world or the salty clubs in the AFL typically would pose when these conversations start to come up in vogue is the father-son rule fair? Fair, I don't know, but I think it's important to maintain the household names at given clubs bestowed upon us in the AFL. It just doesn't fundamentally feel right to see a Dacos wearing a Carlton jersey or a Gary Ablett Jr. wearing a Hawthorn jersey. It just wouldn't make sense to me. It doesn't strum the right string. So Whether it's fair or not, I'm not too sure. And it seems like I said, they're going to make some changes regarding the father-son swaps to ensure that the team that is, I guess, essentially having to give away these players because they have the pick available to take them, they're going to equalize that in some way or another. But I think if you play 100 plus games for a club and you bring your son up, who probably spent a lot of the time at the club growing up, it surely just makes sense to ensure that these players have the best opportunity to reside and play for the club that their old man played for. Obviously, the 2024 draft is going to look quite bleak for us, giving our first round pick away to trade for Lockie Schultz. But look forward to the following year because that father-son acquisition is going to be very exciting for the Collingwood Football Club in the future and beyond. And if you want to know a little bit more about some of the free agency prospects in the next couple of years, then considering watching this video here and get an idea of what we might be targeting in the next couple of years.